Okay, this is a short video to demonstrate how to enter your initial inventory into the system. Basically, it's doing a buy transaction for a client that we've created called initial inventory, and then there'll be a follow-up video to show you how to get that into QuickBooks in the proper manner. As far as an initial inventory, it takes about 2 minutes on the QuickBooks side if you use QuickBooks Desktop or QuickBooks Online. So I'm using our test instance, so there's a lot of different stuff in here. But in the client section, when we set up your instance, we should have set up a client called initial inventory. And there it is. So you just click on it. If it's not there, contact me and I will get it set up, or you can just create it yourself. It's sort of a dummy client. Click on the Purchases tab and click on Purchase. Date of purchase. Try to set the date to a few days or a week before you started actually doing real transactions. So we can set it to say the second, the time, picking the hour, and then the minute on the second and third clicks is not that critical, so long as you pick the day before you're actually doing transactions. If you have more than one location, you would select the location for each, select the amount for each location, or do the transaction for each location. But I think that you only have one location at this time. Uh, but if you have more, then or more in the future, you would do it that way. So Boolean. I'll show you how to do Boolean. I wouldn't put more than 5, 10, or 15 items in any single transaction. The reason is if your computer crashes or you get called away or something gets corrupted on the internet crashes or whatever, you don't lose it. So if you're trying to put like 500 items in a single transaction, that's going to take forever. Your screen's going to be open forever. You're going to get interrupted a million times by clients, probably, unless you're doing it on a weekend when you're not open. But it's better to do it in smaller chunks, and then we can always see what those chunks were. I recommend having a list of all of your items. Either that or have all your inventory out in one place if you're doing it on a day where you're closed, and putting it into the vault as you enter the items and finish the transaction. Or if you have it on the list, once you finish the buy transaction for those items, cross it off your list. They've been entered into your initial inventory. So let's say your first, I'm only going to do 3, our backdate maples, 1 ounce, 4 nines, and you've got 12 on hand, and 1201 is what you paid on average for them. If you've got more than one stack and you know what you paid for each stack, you don't have to worry about calculating an average weighted cost. You could just do a second line item for another stack of maples you have, and that you paid 1180 for those. Uh, and then we can just add some, any of your eagles. And let's say you have 23 and you paid 1231 2 for those, and etc., etc. Let's say you have silver eagles and any year, and let's say you have 1,230 of those, and you paid 1426 on average for them. And again, you just keep going. I would get to about 10 or 15 items and then finish the transaction. Because you paid for these items, let's just issue a payment. It doesn't matter what payment method you use, but I would just pick check. Or if you want to, you can pick something crazy like Bitcoin or whatever, just so that you know all of that stuff was paid for in the past. Clicking this means pay in full. It auto inserts whatever that total is there. It inserts it there, but you can obviously put that in. And then you just create purchase order. Now the PO is being created. Enter items received on the next screen. So here's the one thing that's a little bit of a pain: to give the system as much flexibility for when you're using it in real life. When you receive it in full, it auto inserts today's date and time, not the January 2nd. So you'd have to edit that, go back to January 2nd, and again, the hour and then the minute doesn't really matter. Uh, so long as you're picking a date and time to receive this stuff, because it goes into the inventory system based on the receipt date before you actually, so pick a date where it's before you actually started doing real transactions. Otherwise, if you pick a date after that, your first sale of, say, a maple was before January 2nd, your inventory system will have a negative value in it. It'll say you have negative 1 or 2 or 3 maples on hand. It won't know what cost to associate with them because you didn't have any. So that's the reason we got to pick a date that's before your actual transactions. And again, if you have a list of everything you have for your initial inventory, you don't have to do it all in one day. So long as you do it before your bookkeeper needs to run the books, uh, and you enter the same date or any date that's before any of your transactions, you'll be good, right? So you don't, even if it seems like a daunting task because you've got 2,000 entries to make, you could do